Good morning. Welcome back to Crochet with Lulu and Friends and Lululand. And I'm back in my old recording place. It's brighter and it's where I'm at most of the time. So anyways, today is day 11 of hashtag Christmas Extravaganza July 2025. Today's tips are organization and things that we use to organize. I have been a hoarder of many things my entire life. I saved, my mother said I would come home. Back in my day, we had book satchels. It was just a little bag with a little hard handle on the top, and then it had the little flap that closed, and you usually had a little thing that you turned, and that was our little book satchels. She said I would come home every day with flowers from the schoolyard playground. I would have rocks of various shapes and sizes, and she just didn't know what to do with a lot of things that I brought home because they were very precious and special to me. So I'm sure she threw a lot of them out after, a period of time, but I'm sure she had to come up with some organizational skills. And back when I was raised, we didn't have the luxury of going in the store and finding the Ziploc bags and the handy dandy bags and these sorts of pouches and these bags and these boxes. So I'm sure my mother made do with a lot of things because we lived in a very small house. It had two very small bedrooms. The room that was mine was very, very small, just large enough for maybe a full-size bed, but I had a twin-size bed and I'm sure a little dresser of some sort and a tiny itty-bitty closet. So there was always the problems of what do you do with things. So we didn't have a whole lot of things that come in unless something went out. Purging. Now we call it purging. But in crocheting, knitting, crafting, you always come up with the thing of what am I going to do to have solutions to my organizational. Well, I will tell you what I've been doing recently and what seems to work for me. First of all, these are your friends. It's just a little tin that Altoids came in. I have not even wiped it out because I do like the smell of the peppermint. LOL. And then in here I keep stitch markers. That's a little handy dandy container of stitch markers. Now I'm not especially fond of this style stitch marker. I wore one stitch marker out. I will use paper clips. Sorry, I'm not very organized today. But I do have my darning needles, and then I normally have several stitch markers in this, and then I close it and I put it in this container. Now this container will house highlight markers, scissors, my hooks, safety eyes, and I have a little hair thing on that. Sorry about the lighting. And I have usually 3-4 pair of scissors in this. That's some solutions. Then, as we all know, I'm a fan of Ziploc baggies and baggies. This is just clippets of fiddly bits of yarn that I keep in a baggie. And then I love pouches, so I love going to yard sales. I know my friends in the UK call them boot sales. We call them yard sales, garage sales here in America. And I love these little pouches. I think I gave a quarter. This is a Clinique pouch, 15 cents or a quarter. And then in this pouch, I have another little thing that I believe a little sewing kit came in from the Dollar Quarter Tree. Mickey, you're gonna fall. In this little pouch, I have some buttons, and then I have beads. I am getting to be a big fan of these little alphabet and number beads. The alphabet beads, and I'm sorry this is going longer than what I had anticipated on my Christmas extravaganzas to be, but the alphabet beads I love because when I make the plushies, the dragons, and I'm going to be making some more different things, I like to put the child's name, whether it's the first name or the last name, or if they want me to put another name on it, as long as I have the beads, I can do that. The number beads, I will tell you a good tip for that. The number beads, you can take a safety pin or a paper clip and you can put a number on it. And this tells you what row number you are on when you lay the blanket or the large project down. I am forever forgetting, so I will try. This is where tip number 4011, as we say in the South, comes into play. I keep a notebook, and I didn't have the tabs handy. I have misplaced my tabs. This one is projects I've made this year, and I just keep up with who I make them for, what I've made, and the date. One of my tabs says Progress Keepers. This will tell me what I'm working on presently and what row I'm on. Then my next one is Projects Completed, Categories. Now, I've started in the back and I'm coming forward, and this tells me kind of a breakdown. I've done hats, ear warmers, messy buns. I've done 10 one time and 11 another time. The dragons, I've done 2 one time and I've done 1 another time. Small amigurumis, the bees, the little emotional support chickens, things like that. I've done a total of 24. But this is just my little list. That kind of gives me a breakdown of what was popular and what wasn't popular. Face scrubbies, I've made a lot of face scrubbies this year. Bookmarks, coasters, doilies, spinner ornaments. So this is how I keep up with this. Now I do have another notebook in my box over there that I keep up with what I make for my son, so that I don't make him the same beanie over and over and over, because I have a whole tote of yarns that I use for his beanies that works out better for him when he's working. Another thing that I keep, I don't spend a lot of money. I know a lot of people order the project bags and things like that. I'm not able to do that because, number one, right now I'm not working. So I found a little, it's just a little, I've used it for cards, books, to carry to book clubs, snacks, things that I might need on a road trip. And in this is my Agatha reading shawl that I'm working on. And I'll go ahead and show you the progress that I've made on this. And you will see probably several stitch markers on this, because I do like to keep up with you know, the rows that I start and that I finish each time I work on it. But this is so far. So there's lots of different things that you can keep to keep progress on your projects. This is perfect for this reading shawl right now. I've got the 1 ball of yarn in there, and then hook and then an ink pen that I keep handy. Those are just some things that I have found that's good to keep track and keep progress with your projects that you're working on. Jars are your friends for buttons, stitch markers, all different kinds of things. And like I said, throughout the years, I didn't know what a stitch marker was many years ago. I cross-stitched and I done plastic canvas, and then I dabbled in crocheting somewhat. Not as much as I'm doing now. Bless him, my little Mickey. Sophie's behind me and the other two are on the other couch. But I like to keep up now. I try to be more mindful of what I'm working on, what needs to go out, what's most important to work on. Your progress, just this notebook came from a yard sale up the street. The little man had several of these. And I love this. It's got the hard front and the hard back. And then when I run out of it, I can put it in one of the totes, and then I know what I've worked on so far this year, because last year I was not good about keeping up with the projects I made. What was going in, what I was starting, what was going out, whose project was who. So now, and I don't have one handy, the little lunch bags, well, they're about this tall, that you get at Walmart for, I think there's 100 for $2 and something. You can get the white or you can get the brown. I got the brown the last time. Usually around Christmas, I like the white so that I can write Merry Christmas, thank you from Crochet with Lulu, and then put my phone number on the bag. But I do love keeping the bags handy so that when I finish a project, I can write their name on it, and until I mail it to them or get it to them, it's specifically marked for them. So there's tons of things that you can use, and most of them you have laying around your home already, such as the Altoids box or the pencil boxes. These, I don't like keeping loose, little fiddly bits loose, just running around in this case. So it's a little harder for the children to get into. Now, if you have small children in your home, then you're probably going to need something a lot more sturdy than a pencil box and an Altoids box. So you're going to have to figure out, excuse me, what works best for you and your surroundings. But this works okay for me now because I try to keep this put up away from them so that they don't get tempted to chew into this, because this is hard plastic. It would be devastating. So you just have to keep things in mind, what works better for you and your surroundings. But this is just a few of my organization. I know time to time I'm always quizzing to see what you are using, and leave me comments in the description box. What do you use for your projects, your progress trackers, your what do you write in? Do you journal what you do with each project? And if you give them as gifts, do you write that down? I'm finding that becomes helpful to me, so that unless it's something they just need from year to year, I don't give them the same gift over, if that makes sense. Face scrubbies, I love giving face scrubbies as gifts. So a lot of times in a bag of a beanie or axolotls or the dragons or whatever, I'll poke some face scrubbies in there. To me, that's just a gift that everybody should enjoy getting, a face scrubby. I do. I love face scrubbies. But anyways, I try to keep up with what I give from time to time so that I don't give the same thing over and over and over. The bookmarks, sometimes I get even more specific, crescent moon bookmarks, a cross bookmark, just whatever, so that I don't make, like for book club, every time I make them a bookmark, they're not going to want the crescent moon unless it's a different color and a different thickness, so on and so forth. So I do, sometimes I do get too specific on my project keepers, and I go through notebooks often. I even use these spiral notebooks for day-to-day journaling. I love a planner. I just can't afford to spend $20 to $30 on a good planner that's real specific for my needs. So this works perfect. I write down what I've done, what I need to do, and then I check it off when I do it. And if I don't do it that day, then I turn the page and I write it on another day. Even specific phone calls. So you may have an order that comes in for somebody's birthday or Christmas anniversary, and then you can just, you can keep up with it in that. But this is just some tips that you can use, and I hope some or all of them can help you in your day-to-day with your crafting, your home life, your personal life, recipes. You can keep one with recipes, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. I am loving going to yard sales just to look for the little pouches or the little boxes, because I find that on a road trip, something small and I'm ready to go. So I hope these have helped you. Leave me comments, and if you are finding more ways to keep track of things, please drop me a comment, because I love suggestions on these type things. And again, join me back for more Christmas Extravaganza 2025. I'm trying to do a video every day, and let me know if any of my tips are helpful to you, or give me your suggestions, because I love trying to be, I aspire to be organized. I'm not the world's bestest, but I aspire to be a very good organized person, especially in my day-to-day life and in my crafting. So join me back next time. Crochet with Lulu, more tips and tricks and recipes and projects. Christmas Extravaganza. Bye-bye.